Hello student, all of you are most welcome on my channel, that is Liberty Solution. In my previous video, I have discussed about chapter number 12 of class standard 12, that is biotechnology and its application. Today, I will be discussing about chapter number 13 of class 12 biology NCERT CBSE, and the topic is organism and population. These videos are useful for your school examination, board examination, as well as for NEET examination. Like, comment, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe my channel to get many more such videos. So let us start this chapter, that is organism and population. So we'll be discussing about organism and population. Organism and population. Now you may be knowing what is the meaning of organism and what is the population. If you don't know, don't worry. I will be explaining all these terms. So there is one branch of biology that is called ecology. Ecology means the study of interaction among an organism and between the organism and its physical, that is abiotic environment. Suppose you are an organism, so you may be interacting with other human beings. Plus, you may be interacting with your abiotic environment, means you may be taking water, you may be taking oxygen. So how these uh, living being interact with living as well as not living, so that is studied under this branch that is called ecology. So ecology is concerned with four levels of biological organization. There are four levels of what biological organization in ecology. First is what? Organism, then population, then communities, then biome. These words are biological terms, so you may not be knowing, but we'll be explaining all these things one by one. What do you mean by organism? What do you mean by population? What is community? And what is biome? So these are very important terms. You have to remember these terms as well as you have to learn the meaning. Now, what is organism and its environment? So physiological ecology, there is a physiological ecology, is physiological ecology. This ecology as an organismic level is the study of adaptation of an organism. This is an organism, polar bear, adapted to live in what polar area. So this is called what? Ecology at organismic level. How an organism is adapted in its surrounding environment, that is called physiological ecology. In the terms of survival and reproduction, camel is adapted to live in desert, cactus is adapted to live in desert, then there is a flower, there is interaction between two living beings, that is it is having its own adaptation. So all these things comes under this physiological ecology. The rotation of Earth and the tilt of its axis cause annual variation in the temperature as well as season. So there is a change in temperature, there are change in season. It is because of what? Rotation of Earth and its tilting nature of its axis. Major biomes, major biomes include what? Desert, rainforest, tundra, and many more. These are the major biomes. Sometimes question will be there. Write any three major biomes of Earth. So you can write desert, rainforest, and tundra. These are formed due to these variation in what? Temperature and season, and that is precipitation. Precipitation means rain and snow. Regional and local variation within a biome lead to the formation of different habitat. So this is a desert, this is a biome, this is a rainforest, this is what tundra means, low temperature. Now there is a biome distribution with respect to annual temperature and precipitation. So here there is what two axes are taken, one is x and then y axis is taken. On graph is plotted, so on x-axis mean annual precipitation in centimeter is plotted. In y-axis, mean annual temperature in degrees Celsius is taken. So here, range of mean annual precipitation is from 50, you can say that it is 0 to 450 centimeter, and temperature minus 15 to 30 degree. So in this way, all these regions, Arctic and Alpine region, here they come under what? Low rainfall, low temperature. Temperature is low and rainfall is also up to 125 centimeters. So this is Arctic and Alpine tundra. So if there is a question, what is the annual precipitation of the precipitation in this Arctic and Alpine tundra? So you have to write what? It is what? 0 to 125. And what is the temperature? Mean temperature is minus 15 to 0 degrees Celsius. In the same way, there is a coniferous forest are there, temperate forest are there, tropical forest are there, grasslands are there, deserts are there. So these are various biomes on Earth. Now, organism, and we are studying about organism and its environment. Life exists even in the extreme and harsh habitat, like Rajasthan desert, rain-soaked Meghalaya forest. So life is there in the desert as well as rain-soaked Meghalaya forest. So they are adapted differently. It is also life is there in deep ocean trenches. Deep ocean trenches also there is a life. Life is also there in torrential streams. So the living being plant animals are adapted according to their habitat environment. Life is also there in the permafrost snow-laden polar region as well as high mountain tops. So life is there at desert, Rajasthan desert, range of Meghalaya forest, deep ocean trenches, torrential streams, permafrost, high mountain tops, thermal spring, these are what hot water bodies, thermal spring, and compost pits. Our intestine is a habitat for many microbes. So our intestine is also, we can say, one word, ecosystem. So in the environment, there are two components, biotic component as well as abiotic components. The physicochemical abiotic component like water, light, temperature, soil, and biotic component like pathogens, parasites, predators, competitors, and many more lead to variation of different habitats. The distinct role and position of an organism in the environment is called its niche. So every organism play a one specific role. Like plants play role of what? Producer. So that is their what? Niche. Animal work as a consumer. So that is what their niche. By this, organism tolerate various conditions, utilize various resources. There are in environment, there are some abiotic factors. This include temperature, water, light, and soil. So we'll be studying about all these things, temperature, water, light, and soil. Now let us study about what temperature, how temperature regulate its living behavior of plants and more. It is most ecologically relevant environmental factor. Temperature on land varies seasonally. It gradually decreases from equator to poles. So this is a Earth. So in the middle line there is equator. So if we move from equator towards pole, there will be decrease in what? Temperature. And from plain to mountain, if you this is what you are here, there is a plain mountain is there. So here at mountain there will be low temperature. At plain there will be what? Higher temperature. So it decreases from equator to poles and from plain to mountains. It ranges from sub-zero level in polar areas and high altitude to more than 50 degrees Celsius in tropical deserts. So temperature range is what? Sub-zero to more than 50 degrees Celsius. Average temperature in the thermal spring and deep sea hydrothermal vents exceed 100 degrees. There are some spots on Earth like what deep sea and thermal spring. Here the temperature may be up to 100 degrees Celsius. Mango tree cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada and Germany. Why? Because the temperature requirement of mango tree is not as per is not suitable in Canada and Germany. That's why mango tree will not grow in that Canada and Germany. There is no snow leopard in Kerala forest. Why? Because snow leopard can survive in polar region only. Tuna fishes are rare beyond tropical latitude in the ocean. These are tuna fishes. They are rarely present beyond what tropical latitude in the ocean. So temperature affect kinetics of enzyme. How it will affect what kinetics of enzyme? If there is a temperature is going down, so the enzyme will become inactive. If temperature is increase, it will get denatured. So the temperature affect the kinetics of enzyme, ultimately affecting basal metabolism and other physiological function of the organism. In this way, temperature is very important regulator, a biotic factor. Based on the range of thermal tolerance, organisms are two types. There are two types of organisms based on the range of thermal tolerance. How much temperature variation these animals can tolerate. So there are two types of animal, eurythermal and stenothermal. Now what do you mean by eurythermal? They can tolerate a wide range of temperature. Stenothermal, they can tolerate only a narrow range of temperatures. So these are terms. What do you mean by eurythermal? What do you mean by stenothermal? Eurythermal means they can tolerate wide range of temperature, whereas stenothermal, they can tolerate only a narrow range of temperature. Second very significant factor is what? Water. So second most important factor is water. Desert organisms have special adaptation to limited water. In desert, the water is limited, so animal living in the desert, they are having special adaptation. Productivity and distribution of plant is dependent on water. If there is more water, the productivity will be more. If the water is less, there will be less productivity. For aquatic organism, water quality. The animal living in water, they are called aquatic animals, aquatic organism. So, for the aquatic organism, water quality includes chemical composition, which type of chemicals are present in that water, pH of that water, it is important. The salt concentration means salinity in part per thousand is also very important. It is less than 5 in land water, 32 to 35 in the sea, and more than 100 in some hypersaline lagoons. So there are some lagoons where the salinity is more than 100. Based on the tolerance to salinity, organisms are two types, euryhaline, they can tolerate a wide range of salinity, and then there are stenohaline, tolerate only a narrow range of salinity. Like these are common muli and carcinus manius. They are what? Euryhaline. Means they can tolerate a wide range of salinity. Stenohaline means tolerate only a narrow range of salinity, like goldfish, haddock. Many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa because of osmotic problem. So if an animal is present in what freshwater, and if it is being transferred from freshwater to seawater, it cannot survive for long period. It will create which problem? Osmotic problem will be created. So next abiotic factor is light. Plant needs sunlight for photosynthesis. Small forest plants like herbs and shrubs are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very light because they are overshadowed by tall canopied trees. Plant needs sunlight for photosynthesis. Many plants depend on sunlight for photoperiodism. That is means flowering. What do you mean by photoperiodism? That is what flowering. Many animals use the diurnal and seasonal variations. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, कहाँ से एक्स्ट्रा मार्क्स से बोल रहे हो? हाँ वो अभी उसको नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है? Many animals use the diurnal and seasonal variation in light intensity and photo period for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. So, light is also a very important factor, a biotic factor. Sun is the ultimate source for light and temperature on land. Deep means more than 500 meters in the ocean. The environment is dark and there is no energy available from the sun. In the deep sea, sunlight cannot penetrate. So, what is the source of no energy available from sun? The special quality of solar radiation is also important for the life. The UV spectrum is harmful for many organisms. Not all the color component of visible spectrum are available for marine plants. Next abiotic factor is soil. The nature and properties of soil is different due to the climate, weathering process, sedimentation, method of soil development. There are different types of soil. Why? Because of different climate, weathering process, sedimentation, and mineral. Soil composition, grain size, and aggregation means water holding capacity determines the percolation and water holding capacity of the soil. These characteristics and parameters like pH of the soil, mineral composition, and topography determine the vegetation and animal in an area. In aquatic environment, the sediment characteristic determine the type of benthic animal. Animals which dwell at the bottom of sea, that is called benthic animals. Then responses to abiotic factor. Organisms maintain a constant internal environment, that is called homeostasis. Some definition will be there. What do you mean by homeostasis? So maintaining a constant internal environment is called what? Homeostasis. So sometimes because external factors are changing, but internal environment is what? Constant. This is called what? Homeostasis. This is possible by following process: by regulate, conform, migrate, and suspend. Now we'll study what is regulate, what is conform, what is migrate, and what is suspend. Now what do you mean by regulate? It is the maintenance of homeostasis by physiological and behavioral means. There is change in behavior as well as physiological adaptation. So it ensures constant body temperature. Like that is what constant body temperature means: thermoregulation. Constant osmotic concentration, that means what? Osmoregulation. So homeostasis stasis can be maintained by thermoregulation and osmoregulation. These two terms. What do you mean by thermoregulation? Constant body temperature. What do you mean by osmoregulation? Constant osmotic concentration. All birds and mammals, very few lower invertebrates and invertebrates. So all birds and mammals, they are regulators. Very few lower invertebrates and invertebrates, they are regulators. Means if the body is what constant, having what constant temperature, or body temperature is constant. If we due to exercise, body temperature is going up, then what will happen? Body will maintain constant temperature by what? Sweating. If external temperature is very down, but so body have to maintain what? Internal temperature constant, then will start shivering. So shivering and sweating, these are two processes to maintain what? Thermoregulation in human. Thermoregulation in mammals. The success of mammal is mainly due to their ability to maintain a constant body temperature. Mammals are present on all types of habitat. Why? Because they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. In summer, when outside temperature is more than body temperature, that means 37 degrees Celsius. This is what? Body temperature. What is normal body temperature? 37 degrees Celsius. If when outside temperature is more than 37 degrees Celsius, sweating occurs. This result in evaporative cooling and bring down body temperature. So when there is a sweating, there is a evaporative cooling, and ultimately it will bring down the body temperature. In winter, when the temperature is below 37 degrees Celsius, then what will happen? Shivering occurs. It produces heat and is the body temperature. So in this way, this is what? Physiological method to maintain what? thermoregulation to maintain body temperature. Thermoregulation is energetically expensive, especially for a small animal like shrews, hummingbirds. They have large surface area relative to their volume. So they lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. Then they have to spend much energy to generate body heat. Therefore, very small animals are rare in polar region. Why? Because in comparison to their volume, their surface area is more, so there will be more loss of heat. That's why they cannot survive in what? Polar region. So sometimes the question is there, why shrews and hummingbirds and small animals are not present in polar area? So you have to write the answer. In comparison to their body volume, their surface area will more, therefore they have to lose more energy and it is not feasible for them, therefore they are not present in smaller animals and are present in what? Polar regions. 99% of animals and nearly all plants cannot maintain a constant internal environment. Why? Because it is require a lot of energy to maintain what? Constant internal environment. Their body temperature or osmotic concentration changes with the surrounding condition. They are called what? Conformers. So second is what? There are what? Some animals who are what? Conformer. So here this is graph is there. So on x-axis external level is taken. On y-axis we have taken what? Internal level. Here temperature. Here there are some animals. If there is what? Internal temperature is constant. If there is a change in the internal temperature, there is no any change. These are called what? Regulator. Here, internal level temperature is what? It is what varies. Okay. If external temperature increases, internal temperature will also increase. Keep on increasing external, but after some time they will start regulating. That is called partial regulators. And there are some animals. If there is increase in external level, there will be proportional increase in external and internal level. If external level is going up, it will be going up. That is called conformer. So conformers, their body temperature or osmotic concentration changes with the surrounding condition. They are called what? Conformer. In aquatic animals, osmotic concentration of body fluid changes with that of ambient osmotic concentration. There are another method is what? Migrate. Many animals like birds move away temporarily from stressful habitat. Stressful habitat that is not conducive, not supportable, not comfortable for them. So they migrate for temporary time, not permanent migration. They will be migrating, moving away temporarily from stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when the stressful period is over. So they like this word Siberian crane. Example, during winter, Kyola National Park, it is located in Bharatpur, Rajasthan. There is what? Post Kyola Kyolado National Park, it is located in Bharatpur, Rajasthan. Host migratory birds coming from Siberia, because in Siberia, in winter, temperature goes very down, becomes sub-zero. So these birds, this environment become what? The habitat becomes stressful. So they migrate from stressful habitat of this Siberia and they come to Kyolado National Park in Bharatpur, coming from Siberia and other extremely cold northern region. Then another method is what? Suspend. In bacteria, fungi, and lower plants, thick wall spores help to survive unfavorable conditions. So these are fungi, these are some bacteria, seeds, all these things. They develop thick wall, which help them to survive in unfavorable conditions. Under suitable conditions, they will germinate. In higher plants like seeds and some vegetative reproductive structure serve to tide over periods of stress by reducing their metabolic activity. They germinate under favorable moisture and temperature. If moisture and temperature is not favorable, then they will be lowering down their metabolic activity. When the temperature and moisture is favorable, then they will become they will increase their metabolic activity. In animals, examples are hibernation of bears during winter. This is also called winter sleep. So bear, they are sleeping because their temperature, they cannot maintain their constant body temperature, so they will slow down their metabolic activity and they will go for hibernation. That is also known as winter sleep. Estivation of some snails. These are the snails, they are getting estivated during what? Summer. So estivation of some snails and fishes during summer. These are fishes, they are estivating in mud. And these are what? Branches of tree, plant. Then one more method is what? Diapas. What is diapas? Here in hibernation and estivation, they slow down their metabolic rate. But in diapas, it is a stage of suspended development. If larva is there, and the condition becomes stressful. So it will suspend its development. It will remain in larval stage. It will not become adult. It happens in the what? Zooplankton in lakes and ponds. Now, because of these different abiotic factors, to survive in these stressful conditions, there are some animals, they have developed somewhat changes, modification in their behavior. That is called adaptation. So what is adaptation? Adaptation is the morphological, physiological, and behavioral attribute that enables an organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat. Many adaptations have evolved over long evolutionary time and are genetically fixed. So simple, sometimes question will be there, what define adaptation. So you have to include these three terms, morphological, physiological, and behavioral change that enables an organism to survive and reproduce, in its habitat, that is called adaptation. Now, adaptation of, some example will be taking adaptation of kangaroo rat. Adaptation of kangaroo rat in North American desert. This is kangaroo rat. So in desert there will be less water. So how they will be what getting the water? There will be what? Water they will be utilizing internal fat oxidation gives water as byproduct, and if there is no external source of water. Second method, ability to concentrate urine so that minimal volume of water is used to remove excretory product. Now adaptation of desert plant. So desert plants are also adapted. Why? Because in a desert there is less water is available. So how they are adapted? Presence of thick cuticle on leaf surface. Leaf surface is having thick cuticle. Then sunken stomata. Stomata what? Sunken. Sunken stomata help to minimize water loss through transpiration. CAM photosynthetic pathway. Cradularian acid metabolism. CAM stands for, you may have studied Kranz in anatomy. So they follow what? CAM photosynthetic pathway, which enable their stomata to remain closed during daytime. Desert plant like Aponcia have no leaves. This is Aponcia, it doesn't have no leaves. They are reduced to spine. So what happens to leaves? Leaves are reduced into spine. Photosynthesis is done by stem. So leaves are converted into spines, so photosynthesis is performed by stem. In this way, this aponcia is adapted in xerogenic condition. Now, adaptation of mammals. Mammals from colder climate have shorter ears. So this is what C. So animals which are present in colder climate, they are having shorter ears and limbs to reduce heat loss. This is called what? Allen's rule. Sometimes question will be there. What is Allen's rule? So mammals present in colder climate have smaller ears and limbs. This is called Allen's rule to reduce what? Surface area. Aquatic mammals like seals have a thick layer of fat. They are having thick layer of fat that is called blubber below their skin that act as an insulator and reduce loss of body heat. So in this way, seal is adapted to colder climate. Physiological, and now we'll be studying what physiological and biochemical adaptation. Archaebacteria, they are found in hot spring and temperature may go in these hot spring, the temperature may go above 100 degrees Celsius. So these are adapted, they are present in what hot spring and deep sea hydrothermal vent where temperature is what more than 100 degrees Celsius. Many fish thrive in Antarctic water where temperature is below 0 degrees Celsius. Many marine invertebrates and fishes live at great depth in the ocean where the pressure is more than 100 times the normal atmospheric pressure. So, but they are still adapted. Chat. So this is bacteria. They are present in hydrothermal vent where temperature is more than 100 degrees Celsius. This is angular fish. It is present in the bottom of the sea where the pressure may be 100 times the normal atmospheric pressure. At high altitude, place means more than 3,500 meters, we feel altitude sickness. What are the symptoms of altitude sickness? Its symptoms are nausea, heart palpitations, and fatigue. This is due to low atmospheric pressure, so body does not get enough oxygen. Gradually, so if you are moving to any hilly mountainous area, so you will feel this altitude sickness. But gradually, we acclimatize this situation and body compensate low oxygen availability by increasing RBC and breathing rate and decreasing the binding capacity of hemoglobin. So in this way, body through its physiological changes, a biochemical adaptation, it will manage the stressful condition. Now, behavioral adaptation. Like there is a desert lizard. It basks in sun and absorbs heat when their body temperature is low. But as soon as if their body temperature is low, they will come in sunlight and they will take what? Sunbath. But move into shade when the ambient temperature starts increasing. Some species burrow into the soil to hide and escape from above ground heat. Now we'll be discussing about population. We have discussed about organismic ecology. Now we'll be discussing about population. Now what is population? A population is a group of individuals of same species. Like this is what population of lotus plant in a pond. So a population is a group of individuals of same species that live in. So a population is a group of individuals of same species that live in a given geographical area. Share or compete for similar resources and potentially reproduce. Example, all the cormorants in wetland, rats in abandoned dwelling, teakwood trees in a forest trap, bacteria in a culture plate, and lotus plant in a pond. These are the examples of population. So give some example of population. So you have to write all the cormorants in the wetland, rats in an abandoned dwelling, teakwood trees in a forest trap, bacteria in a culture plate, and lotus plant in a pond. These are the example of population. So there is one branch of ecology that is called population ecology. It is an important area of ecology and it links ecology to population genetics and evolution. So population attributes. So population is having what? Birth rate, it is having death rate, it is having sex ratio, it is having age pyramids, and it is having what? Population density. So these are 5 attributes of population. What are they? Birth rate, death rate, sex ratio, is pyramids, and population density. These are the population attributes. Now we study what is birth rate. It refers to per capita birth. Suppose In a pond, there are 20 lotus plants last year, and through reproduction, 8 new plants are added. In the current population is 28. So, what will be the birth rate? So, it will be what? 8 divided by 20, that is 0.4 offspring per lotus per year. So, this is what birth rate. Number of individual added divided by original population. So, that is called what? Birth rate. Then there is a death rate. It refers to per capita death. Example, 4 individuals in a laboratory population of 40 fruit flies dies during a week. So what will be the death rate? Original population 40. And how many dies? 4. So 4 by 40, 0.1 individuals per fruit fly per week. This is what death rate. Now, what is sex? Another attribute of population is sex ratio. A population has a sex ratio. Example, 60% of population is female and 40% population is what? Male. Population is having age pyramid. What is age pyramid? It is the structure obtained when the age distribution, percentage of individual of a given age or age group is plotted for the population. For human population, is age pyramids generally show age distribution of males and females in a combined diagram. So here different groups are taken: pre-reproductive group, reproductive group, and post-reproductive group. Here, if the number of individual in pre-reproductive age group is more than reproductive and post-reproductive, this population is called expanding population. They are growing population. If the number of individuals in pre-reproductive and reproductive phase is almost equal, that population is what? Stable population. So if the rate number of individuals in pre-reproductive is less than reproductive and post-reproductive, this is called what? Declining age pyramid. So there are 3 types of age pyramid: expanding age pyramid, stable age pyramid, and declining age pyramid. Next attribute is population size or population density, that is N. It is the number of individual of a species per unit area or volume. So this is a point. In this unit area, how many Siberian cranes are there? That is called what? That will be the population size or population density of that Siberian crane. It is a millions of Chlamydomonas in a pond. Here in a pond, it may be in millions. In this pond, it will be what? They may be in hundreds of thousands. So it is the number of individual of a species per unit area or volume. Parthenium species. So here population density of Siberian crane at Bharatpur wetland is in any year is what? Less than 10. It is millions of Chlamydomonas in a pond. So population size is also measured in percentage cover or biomass. Example, in an area, 200 Parthenium plants and a huge banyan tree are seen. In such case, measuring percentage cover or biomass is meaningful to show importance of banyan tree, not numbers. So sometimes number is important, sometimes biomass is important. Total number is a difficult measure for a huge population. In such case, relative population density without knowing absolute population density is used. Example, the number of fish caught per trap indicate its total population density in the lake. If per trap is more, then population density is more. If per trap it is less, then population density will be less. In some cases, indirect estimation of population size is performed, like tiger census is in national park and tiger reserves based on pug marks and fecal pellets. So here, on the basis of this fecal pellet and pug mark, we can calculate how many tigers, how many lions are present in particular national park or tiger reserve. Then we'll be discussing about population growth. The population size changes depending on factors like food availability, predation pressure, and weather. Change in population density gives some idea about the population, whether it is flourishing or declining. So how population grow? There are four basic processes that fluctuate the population density. First is what? Natality. That is represented by B. B means birth rate. Birth rate is also known as natality. It is the number of birth in a population during a given period. That is what? Natality. Natality is number of birth in a population during a given period. That is called natality. Mortality, it is the number of death in a population during a given period. So number of death is mortality or death rate. Immigration, so these are what? Four basic processes which are responsible for fluctuation in population density. Sometimes question will be there. Explain natality, mortality, immigration or immigration. So immigration is the number of individuals of same species that have come into the habitat from elsewhere. So some people are coming from other place, that is called immigration. And some person are going out from this place, that is called immigration. Immigration and immigration. So these are what? Four processes which are responsible for fluctuation in the population density. Now, so population growth means increase in population density, that is N, because it increases population density, increases because of immigration, because of natality, and decreases because of mortality and migration. So natality and immigration increases the population density, and mortality and immigration decreases population density. If capital N is the population density at time t, then its density at time t plus 1 will be a n t plus 1. Population density after time t plus 1 is original population, that is nt, population at time t, plus birth rate, natality plus immigration minus mortality, death rate, immigration. So population density increases if B plus I is more than D plus I. If B plus I is more than D plus E, then there will be increase in population density. Otherwise, it will decrease. Under normal condition, birth and death rate are important factors influencing population density. Immigration and immigration have importance only under special conditions. Example, for a colonizing new habitat, immigration may more significant to population growth than birth rate. Now we'll be discussing about growth models. So there are different models. First model is exponential growth. So day one, paramecium is the 0. After day 0 day, there is 1. So after day 1, there are 1, then 2, then number is increasing. After day 6, it is what? So many. This is what? Exponential growth of paramecium. Resources, food and space are essential for the unimpeded, unchecked population growth. If unlimited food, unlimited space is there, the population growth will be unlimited. If resources are unlimited, each species shows full innate potential to grow in number. Then the population grow in an exponential or geometric fashion. Exponential growth is also known as what? Geometric growth. So here resources and space are unlimited. So that growth is called what? Exponential. If population size is capital N, birth rate per capita, birth is B, small b, death rate per capita, death small d, then the increase or decrease in population size during a unit time period t dn upon dt will be dn upon dt b minus d into capital N. If let b minus d is equal to r, then dn upon dt will become rn. Yes, b minus d is equal to r. So dn upon dt will become rn. This is a what formula for what? Calculating exponential growth. So if we are plotting graph between what time and population density, yeah. So exponential growth, we will be getting J-shaped curve. This is what J-shaped curve. So this is what equation for dn upon dt is equal to r. Yeah. Then second growth is what? In beginning, as per time increases, there will be what increase in population, but after some time it will become constant because that environment has limited resources. So dn upon dt will become rn into k minus n upon k. Here k is what? Carrying capacity of the environment. So this is what? Sigmoid curve. For exponential growth, J-shaped curve is obtained, and for logistic growth, sigmoid curve is obtained. So what is exponential growth? The R, that is intrinsic rate of natural increase. It's an important parameter for assessing impact of any biotic or abiotic factor on population growth. Larvae rate, small r value is 0.015. Orbital 0.212. Human population in India, according to 1981 census, the R value is 0.020. These are some data. So exponential growth, the integral form of exponential growth equation is nt is equal to n naught ERT. What is where nt is equal to population density after time t. N0 stands for population density at time 0. Small r intrinsic rate of natural increase. E means the base of natural logarithm, that is 2.27182. You have to simply remember this equation. Sometimes in examination it will be there. What is the integral form of exponential growth equation? So you have to remember nt is equal to n0 ERT. Now, second type of growth model is logistic growth. Now, there is no population in nature having unlimited resources for exponential growth. So there are various factors which control resources in environment. So there is no any population in nature which is having unlimited resources for exponential growth. This leads to competition among individuals for limited resources. Resources are limited, therefore competition will be developing between what? Among the individual for limited resources. Eventually, the fittest individuals survive and reproduce. In nature, a given habitat has enough resource to support a maximum possible number, beyond which no further growth is possible. It is called what? Carrying capacity, that is K. Is the carrying capacity of any environment. If there is, it is the number of individual going beyond what carrying capacity, there will be competition, and in this competition, only Fittest individuals survive and reproduce. So, for what is the equation for logistic growth? It is what given by world first world logistic growth is described as d upon dt r here k minus n upon k, where n is population density at time t, smaller intrinsic rate of natural increase, k means carrying capacity for most animal population. Resources for growth are limited. So the logistic growth model is more realistic than exponential growth model. Life history variation. Population evolved to maximum their reproductive fitness or Darwinian fitness, higher R value. Under a particular set of selection pressure, organisms evolved toward the most efficient reproductive strategy. Some organisms breed only once in their lifetime. Pacific salmon fish, they breed only once in life. Bamboo, only once there is a flower. While other breeds many times, most birds and mammals. This is salmon fish, breed only once in life. Bamboo, flower only once in life. But mammals, birds, they reproduce many, breed many times. Some produce a large number of small sized offspring like oyster, pelagic fishes, while others reproduce a small number of large sized offspring like birds and mammals. These facts indicate that life history trait of organisms have evolved due to limited abiotic and biotic component of the habitat. Now, population interaction. Organisms interact in various ways to form a biological community. Suppose there are what? Different types of, this is what. So when they interact, interaction between two species is called interspecific interaction. So this wild animals, wild bison, wild buffalo, and this lion. There are two different species. So they are interacting. This is called what? Interspecific interaction. So this population interaction is different type. First is what? Mutualism. Second, competition. Third, predation. Fourth, parasitism. Fifth, commensalism. And sixth, emensalism. So this is example of what? Mutualism. This is example of competition. Competition is more dangerous because your resources what requirements are same. Intra-specific. When there is a competition within same species, that is the intra-specific competition. So this is more dangerous. Why? Because the requirements needs are same. If there is a competition between two different species, that is called interspecific competition. So this is third one, that is predation. Fourth one is that is what? Parasitism. Then commensalism. Then this is what? Emensalism. So we'll be discussing one by one what are mutualism, what is competition. So population interaction. In mutualism, suppose there is species A and species B. Here, both species are benefited. So A is also, when these species are interacting, both species A and B, they both are what? Benefited. In competition, both species are half. Two species are interacting, both will be harmed. That is called competition. Predation, one predator is benefited, one species A is benefited, that is benefited, that is called predator, and other prey is harmed, like lion and tiger. Parasitism, one parasite is benefited, other host is harmed, like malaria parasite. Plasmodium will be benefited and human being will be harmed. Commensalism, one is benefited, other is unaffected. One is benefited, other is what? There will be no loss, no gain. Commensalism, one is harm, other is unaffected. One is harm, other is what? Unaffected. So in predation, parasitism, and commensalism, the interacting species live closely together. Now, what is predation? In a broad ecological context, all carnivores, herbivores are predators. Herbivores are also predators and carnivores are also predators. About 25% insect are phytophagous. So, insect eating what? Plant that is called phytophagous. If a predator overexploits its prey, then the prey might become extinct. It results in the extinction of predator. Therefore, predator in nature are prudent. So they are dependent on each other. If predator is what? Lion start eating, killing so many animals, not eating, then it has started over exploiting. So ultimately what will happen? This wild buffalo, the population will go down, then the animal will, this tiger lion will not get food, ultimately it will become extinct. So therefore predator in nature are prudent. Importance of predators. Predator control prey population. When certain exotic species are introduced into geographical area, they spread fast due to the absence of its natural predator in the invaded land. Example, the prickly pear cactus. This is what prickly pear cactus, that is called Acacia. Introduced in Australia in 1920, caused havoc by spreading. Later, it was controlled by introducing a cactus feeding predator moth. So later, this moth was introduced and then ultimately its population was controlled. So predators control prey population. Predators are used in biological control methods as well. Predators maintain species diversity in a community by reducing competition among prey species. Example, the predator starfish disaster in the rocky intertidal communities of American Pacific coast. This is disaster. It is a starfish. It is present in American Pacific coast. All these starfish were removed from enclosed intertidal area. It caused extinction of over 10 invertebrate species within a year due to interspecific competition. So if it is there, it maintains the population of prey. But if it was removed, because of overcompetition, there were almost 10 invertebrate species become extinct within a period of a year. Predation, defense of prey species to lessen impact of predation. Camouflage. Sometimes question is there, what do you mean by camouflage? It is for cryptic coloration. So the body color matches with the surrounding habitat. That is called camouflaging. Camouflage of some insect like and frogs, some are poisonous as well. The monarch butterfly, this is what monarch butterfly, is highly distasteful to its predator birds. It is due to a special chemical in its body. It is acquired during its caterpillar stage by feeding on a poisonous leaf. So this is what camouflage frog. This is a leaf insect. Camouflaging like what leaves? A monarch butterfly, it have developed some poisonous chemical. Depends on prey species to lessen impact of predation. There are some species which produce thorns. Most common morphological means of defense of plant like acacia, cactus. This is what thorn they are having. Thorn. Calotropis, this is what thorn. It produces some chemical. Many plants produce chemicals that make the herbivore sick, inhibit feeding or digestion, disrupt its reproduction or kill it. Calotropis, this is a calotropis. You may have seen in the ground, your neighborhood as well. Calotropis produce poisonous cardiac glycosides. So cattle or goat do not eat it. Nicotine, caffeine, quinine, styrene, stachynine, opium. These are the defense against grazers and browsers. Competition next is what? Population interaction is what? Competition. This is the process in which fitness of one species, R value, means ability to what? Survive and reproduce, that is R value, is significantly lower in presence of another species. If the R value is what? Goes down, presence of another value, that is what? Competition. Interspecific competition is a potent force in organic evolution. Competition occurs when closely related species compete for same limited resource. So there is a competition between two individual of same species, that is called intraspecific, and here there is a competition between two different species, that is called interspecific competition. Unrelated species can also compete for resources like flamingo and fishes. In some shallow South American lake compete for zooplankton. So there are what? Zooplankton. Zooplanktons are eaten by flamingo as well as fishes. So they compete for what? Zooplankton. Both of them compete for zooplankton. Competition occur in abundant resources also. Example, in interference competition, the feeding efficiency of one species is reduced due to presence of other species, even if resources are abundant. One example is Abingdon tortoise. This is Abingdon tortoise. In Galapagos Island became extinct when decades after goats were introduced on the island. Earlier, these goats were not there. When these goats were introduced, then earlier the population of Abingdon tortoise was too much. But when goats were introduced in this island, the population goes down due to greater browsing efficiency of the goat, because the goats are more efficient than this Abingdon tortoise. Now, evidences for competition. Competitive release. It is the expansion of distributional range of species when the competing species is removed. Cornell's field experiment. On the rocky sea coast of Scotland, there are two barnacle species. Balanus, larger and competitively superior. These are Balanus, barnacle, and second, Cathamalus, smaller. Balanus dominate intertidal area and exclude Cathamalus. When Cornell experimentally removed Balanus, Cathanamalus colonized the intertidal area. Next is what Gauss competitive exclusion principle. It states that two closely related species competing for same resources cannot coexist indefinitely. So there are two species, they are competing. So here the most efficient will become what? Dominate. If two closely related species competing for same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, and competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. So here there is a plant. This plant there are yellow color birds are there. They were there, but later on red color birds came here. They were more efficient. So over a period of time, they have pushed yellow color birds to find new place. This may be true in limited resource, but not in otherwise. Species facing competition may will evolve mechanism for coexistence rather than exclusion. That is called resource partitioning. So whatever happened, now this lower part will be, lower part of the plant will be forced by these red color birds, and upper parts, new leaves will be what utilized by what yellow colored birds. So this is called what resource partitioning. It is the division of limited resources. Resource partitioning is what? It is the division of limited resource by species to avoid competition. For this, they chose different feeding time or different foraging pattern. Some will feed in daytime, some will feed in evening time, afternoon. So they will be uh, distributing, sharing same resources at different time, a different foraging pattern. Example, MacArthur. This person is MacArthur. He showed that five closely related species are warblers. Warblers means these are birds. Warblers, birds. Living on a tree could avoid competition and coexist due to behavioral differences in their foraging activities. So, Bay Bristol warbler, this is Bay Bristol foraging height. It will forage only one, what, 20 centimeter up, 20 feet only. Black Goodman warbler, 40 feet. Then Cape Mary warbler, black thorned green warblers, then Myrtle warblers. So this is the same tree. So they will be foraging what at different heights. In this way, they will be sharing what they will be have done the partitioning of the resources. Now next population interaction is parasitism. Here, many parasites are host-specific, means they, in presence of only particular host, they will survive. They can parasite only a single host species. They tend to co-evolve, like if the host evolve a special mechanism against the parasite also evolve mechanism to counteract them to remain with the same host. So here parasitic wasp larvae emerge from a caterpillar tomato heartworm. Cuscuta, red louse, these are some of the parasites. Adaptation of parasites, loss of sense organ, presence of adhesive organs are suckers to cling onto the host, loss of digestive system because they are getting what digested food material, high reproductive capacity. This is leech that is known as what? Hydrogenaria, leech, scaries, these are parasites. They are having suckers. This is lamprey, they are having suckers. This is what leech, they are also having suckers. So that they can attach themselves with the surface of their host. Life cycle of human parasites are often complex. Example, human liver fluid depends on two intermediate hosts, a snail and a fish, to complete its life cycle. Human liver fluid, it needs what? Two intermediate hosts. One is what? Snail and another is fish. Malarial parasite need mosquito to spread to other hosts. Parasites harm the host. They reproduce, the survival, They reduce the survival, population density, growth, and reproduction of the host. They may make the host physically weak and more vulnerable to predation. So these are what malarial parasite class. What here? This is human liver. Types of parasitism. There are two types of parasites. One is ectoparasite and there is what endoparasite, like human lice, pig and dog. These are what external parasite. And endoparasite, roundworm, tapeworm, human liver fluid. These are one example of endoparasite. Now, what is ectoparasite? They feed on the external surface of host, example, lice and human being, ticks on dog. These are ticks on dog. Ectoparasite couples in many marine fish. These are couples on marine fish. Cuscuta plant and haze plant. This is a cuscuta plant. It has no chlorophyll and leaves. It derives nutrition from the host plant. Female mosquito is not considered a parasite because it needs our blood only for reproduction, not as a food. Here parasite is what? Parasite is plasmodium, not mosquito. Now into parasites. Parasites that live inside the host body at different sites like liver, kidney, lungs, RBC. So they are what? Endoparasites. The life cycle of endoparasites are more complex. They have simple morphological and anatomical features and high reproductive potential. So roundworm, tapeworm, liver fluid, these are endoparasites. Next is what brood parasitism in birds. What do you mean this by this? Here the parasitic birds lay egg in the nest of its host and let the host incubate them. So here parasitic bird, there is a bird, it will lay its egg in the nest of host. So this is called what? Brood parasitism. During evolution, egg of the parasitic bird have evolved to resemble the host egg in the size and color. So the host bird cannot detect and eject the foreign egg easily. Example, brood parasitism between cuckoo and crow. So cuckoo is what? Parasite and crow is host. Cuckoo will lay its egg in the nest of crow. And the egg's size and color is similar to the egg of a crow. So crow will not be able to differentiate whether the egg belongs to crow, cuckoo's egg, or crow egg. So this is called brood parasite. Next is commensalism. Here orchid growing and epiphytes and mango branch. This is an example. This is the orchid growing on mango tree. So mango branch is not hard, but orchid is getting what? One base. Barnacle growing on back of whale. So barnacle will be getting what? Residence, but there will be no harm on whale. Cattle egret. This is what cattle egret. Cattle egret will be benefited, but there will be no harm for cattle. So this is called commensalism. The egret forest close to where the cattle are grazing. As the cattle move, the vegetation insect come out. Otherwise, it is difficult for the egret to find and catch the insect. Sea anemone, there is no effect. And clone fish. Clone fish is what? Get what? Residence. These are what? Clone fish. Stinging tentacles of sea anemone gives protection to fish from predators. So this clone fish will hide here, and if any predator is coming to eat this clone fish, this sea animal tentacle will sting those hosts those are predators. So in this way, your clone fish will be protected by CNN. In mutualism, what are the example of mutualism? Lichen. It is a mutualistic relationship between a fungus and photosynthesizing algae or cyanobacteria. So this is lichen, this is lichen, this is what lichen. What is mycorrhiza? Mycorrhiza is association between fungi and the roots of higher plant. The fungi help the plant in the absorption of the essential nutrient from the soil, while the plant provides the fungi with the carbohydrate. Mutualism. Mutualism between plant and animal through pollination and seed dispersion. Fig tree and wasp. This is fig tree and there is a wasp. These are the wasp. Fig species is pollinated only by its partner wasp species and no other species. It will be pollinated by only this partner species. The female wasp pollinate the fig inflorescence while searching for suitable egg-laying site in the fig. The fig offer the wasp some developing seed as food for the wasp larva. So here, this is what fig flower is pollinated by wasp. Then wasp larva eggs in a fig fruit. Mutualism between plant and animal through pollination and seed dispersal. Orchid shows diversity of floral pattern. They attract the right pollinator insect bees and bumblebees. Mutual pollination. Not all orchids offer reward. Mutualism between plant and animal through pollination and seed dispersion. There is one device, sexual deceit of Ophidas, Mediterranean orchid. This is what Mediterranean orchid. One petal of the flower resembles female bee in size, color, and marking. One petal of it will look like what? Female Ophidas. So male bee pseudocopulate with the flower and it dusted with pollen. When this bee pseudocopulate with the another flower, it transfer pollen to it. So this is one what sexual deceit. They don't give any reward, but they behave like what female of virus. If the female bee's color pattern changes slightly during evolution, pollination success will be reduced unless the orchid flower co-evolve to maintain the resemblance of its petal to the female. So this much about this program. So like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe my channel to get many more videos.